Today we are talking about acceptance, and so much to be said about acceptance and forgiveness. But let me just take another few seconds before rambling off, because once I stop, it's very difficult to stop. Okay, shall we do this? Right, ladies, welcome back. I trust you had a good day yesterday. I trust you're having a good day today, and I believe that you are ready for today's topic. I just want to thank you for participating yesterday and for being here and just putting yourself first. I understand that 5 days can be a stretch, right? So truly pat yourselves on the back. If you make it to day 5, it will absolutely be worth it. I'm really sharing as much information as I can, because it is my intention for you to live a life that is that's fulfilled, that's filled with meaning, and where you truly connect with yourselves and you can look in the mirror and say, I love you. So if you haven't watched the replay from yesterday, and just give it a watch and let us know where you are at. If you're watching this, by the way, on live, just pop a comment, please. If you like something or if something resonates, just pop a comment and say like, or and just give us a little bit of feedback. Of course, I do this for you, and some feedback would be great to know whether this resonates and whether it is helping you. So if you're watching the replay, please just type replay, and if you have done the questionnaire, thank you for the ladies who commented and shared in terms of the results of the questionnaire. It also helps me and guides me a little bit in terms of where I can focus on, and it is coincidental or not, that some of the challenges that came out of the questionnaires, which I saw, the result included acceptance and forgiveness. So we are on the right track. You are where you are meant to be, and if you wondered, this is for you. So let us jump in, and today we're going to talk about forgiveness and acceptance towards yourself, mostly, also towards others, and why is it so important. So I hope you've got a pen and paper at hand, because you are going to be making notes. My initial notes this morning did include a question as to why would we include forgiveness and acceptance into a self-care, self-love series, and what is the relevance. But again, because of the results that I saw, it definitely is relevant in terms of your self-love journey, and it is really, really crucial. And I can say for myself that the day I forgave myself, the day I accepted my past and my situation, my environment, was the day that I started having real freedom and peace. And we're going to walk through that. And I hope the outside noise isn't too much. But drop a comment if you hear the dogs barking and they are irritating you, so that I can to close the window. I like keeping the window open for fresh air. So forgiving and accepting doesn't mean it's not a sign of weakness, okay? And total contrary, it is a sign of courage, and it is the ultimate act of self-love. It is a gift that you can give yourself. No one can force you to accept anything. No one can tell you to do it. I can't say to you, you need to forgive yourself and expect you to do that. I can't, no one can push you towards forgiving and accepting. The only person that can do that is you. The only person that knows the full extent and the feelings and emotions and whatever it is around that specific event or person or something that you need to accept, forget or forgive is you. And the beauty of that is, and you might see it as a challenge, but the beauty of that is once you allow yourself to deal with it, your subconscious mind will only allow you to go as far as you can cope. Okay, so more than often our fears hold us back because we just don't know if we're going to be able to cope with whatever comes along with this forgiveness and this acceptance. Because of course it is a process and you need to work through the process, and there might be deeply embedded feelings and emotions and traumas that might surround this event or this thing that happened that you need to accept or forgive. So our fears often hold us back, and more than often we just don't think we can handle going there. Just like I know people say, I can't go there, or I can't go there right now. And that is okay. But I want to encourage you to trust yourself. I want to encourage you to take that first step towards forgiveness and acceptance because, as I said, you will not go further than you can cope with. So allow yourself to work through it. And the vice versa will be a life caught in change. And I've got this vision of someone that's really truly tied down with chains. You're kind of standing there and you've got these chains tying you and holding you back, and you can't move forward. And one of the chains is forgiveness, and the other one is acceptance, and the other one is self-judgment. And these are the things, traumas, these are the things that you need to let go in order to let go of the chains that's keeping you back and holding you back from moving forward. So this is not going to be a short, I need to warn you, and I apologize in advance, that this is not going to be a short class, I don't know what to call it, but let's start with acceptance. And acceptance for me was one of the biggest shifts I made. I've shared this before. It was truly something that I just released when I started accepting things. And accepting that you are exactly where you are meant to be at this point in your life, in your moment, is very freeing, and it creates a life of peace and meaning and fulfillment. So again, acceptance is not a sign of weakness, of giving up, of rolling over and saying, okay, this is me, I'm done. Acceptance is powerful, and especially when you combine it with understanding and with kindness and compassion, with the knowledge that we cannot control everything that happens in our world, and we cannot change the past. You cannot change the past, but you can control how you react right here, right now, in this moment. Once you are able to accept that you cannot change the past, it gives you the space, it provides the space and the energy and the mind power to focus on what it is that you can do to influence change. It allows for change, of course. Like if you feel that you are not on the right path, you can just change your course. And it provides for an immense sense of freedom and peace. I want you to picture for a moment, if you will, just close your eyes and picture this, yourself standing there with no chains, and just a picture of peace and harmony. What does that feel like? And would you like to feel more of that? So ask yourself these questions, and if you are watching this on replay, pause the video and really spend time to reflect. What is it about yourself and your current circumstances that you feel you need to change in order to live a happy, fulfilled, meaningful life? Find that place of peace and harmony. And then the second question is, what do you think is preventing you from doing that? Because I can tell you what generally prevents people, of course I can, but you are the only one that has those answers inside of you. You know, you've got the answers. In my world, things tend to go wrong. And in my world, I am consciously reminding myself and aware that it is what it is. If this is my path, then so be it. I'm going to give you an example of what happened to me. Those of you who don't know me, I am a South African, but I live in Curacao, which is an island in the Caribbean. And I just spent 4 months in South Africa and I returned back to Curacao. But at the airport, the KLM staff looked at my documents and I knew that I had the right documents, that Curacao would allow me to enter the country and I'm a returning resident, etc., etc., etc. But KLM was communicating with Amsterdam, or the South African side was communicating with Amsterdam, and they said hell no. They ended up bumping me off the flight. And the old me would have done one of two things. I would have either just completely lost it and got either emotional or upset or angry or whatever, or I would have just turned around and said, okay, this me who knows that things happen, and this is your path, this is where you need to be, remain calm, just calm, just okay, let's talk about this, can you get the supervisor, can you do this, can you do that, can you do that, with kindness, of course. And I can tell you now that if I did not deal with it that day, I would not be here today. I would have had to go back, get a visa, which I really didn't need. And so what I'm saying is, staying calm, being kind is not a weakness. There's a whole lot of strength in that. Trusting in the process is powerful. So getting back to acceptance, and I'm not sharing, by the way, that story with you to show you how amazing I am. I'm sharing that story with you to show you how your life can change significantly. I mean, we often have our moments when we just lose it. And then you look back and you think, but why did I do that? No. So, just proving to you and showing you that there is a different life that you can lead. So acceptance is a choice. You cannot change the past. You can only, you cannot live in the future, by the way. You can only live for today. And your choice to either go and continue and live a life of peace and happiness without limitations, or you can continue allowing your past mistakes, your failures, your events, whatever you want to name them, to keep you hostage, keep you tied up in those chains and prevent you from moving forward and spending your life unhappy, lost, sad, angry. I want to also mention, and this was really around acceptance of yourself, but when we have to accept other people and their, whatever, their past, is very difficult. It is very difficult. When you have to accept a broken relationship, it is very, very hard. When you have to get to that moment and say, actually, this is not working, that kind of acceptance is really, really hard. And that is where people, women mostly, I suppose, but people get caught up in relationships, toxic relationships that are bad for them. Just, there's no other word. Where they are abused and not respected. Also, accepting that a person that you are in a relationship with cannot change, cannot be fixed, is really, really hard to do, especially, by the way, if you are an empath. If you are used to changing, if you're used to helping people, wanting to fix people, there are certain people that you cannot fix. There's really two kinds of people in the world, and the ones with growth mindset and the ones with fixed mindset. And yes, it's quite possible to change from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. That is completely possible, but that choice lies with that person. Nobody else can make that choice for that person. Nobody else can help them change. Nobody else can do the changes for them. And that acceptance is crucial, because once you accept and you realize, you know what, it does not matter what I do, it doesn't matter how much love I pour at this person, he is broken, or she. I cannot do that kind of fixing. Then you can get to a point where you can make decisions, unfortunately hard decisions, but so important. So I hope that helps to shed a little bit of light on acceptance. There is a world outside there. If you have not accepted things the way they are, there is a world outside there. Acceptance really gives you the space to figure out and what happens next. While you are not accepting, you are resisting. And while you are resisting, whatever is going to persist. While you are resisting, your focus and your energy and everything goes, your mind, everything goes towards the resistance, instead of, okay, what do I do next? When this happens, what are my next steps? We get so overwhelmed when we are fighting circumstances. Spending time in South Africa, I mean, there's dire circumstances. People are struggling in many parts of South Africa. But I can tell you, the thing is that while you are caught up in that struggle, in the mental struggle, it is so difficult to see the wood from the trees, to actually see the hope, see the other side, because you're just so caught up in how bad things really are. And that is what acceptance will give you. It will provide you with the space to find clarity about, okay, what is my next step? What can I do? What can I do to get out of here? Provide space to create hope. When you don't see hope, there's always a way out. So I hope that that sheds some light on acceptance. Now let's talk about forgiveness. Forgiveness is releasing the feeling that the other person owes you something, right? I mean, that's why we don't. That's why we hang on to these things. Is we don't free ourselves from the anger or the hurt or the pain or the sadness. You may believe that forgiveness is difficult, and it can be difficult, it can truly be difficult, but when you understand who it is truly for, it's for you. Forgiveness is a gift that you give to you. Even if you are forgiving someone else, it's still a gift that you're giving yourself, because you're releasing yourself. Once you know that, it really becomes easier, and you will feel empowered. It gives you freedom. So what forgiveness is not, and please ladies, just drop a comment into, you just tell me if any of this resonates with you, and of course if you are still hearing me clearly. But just forgiveness, what it is not reconciliation with that person. We're not saying, forgive him, you're now going to get back together. Okay? It's not what it is. Forgiveness is not living in denial about someone else's actions. Absolutely hell freaking no. Okay? It's not allowing other people to do the same thing over and over again. If they hurt you, you're not going to allow them over and over to hurt you the same again by forgiving them. No, it's not. That's not what's going to happen. It's also not about having no consequence for certain behaviors. Certain behaviors has to have a consequence, fact. And it is not having that pain magically go away. So I watched a TikTok a couple of days ago, and to me it was just so profound. It was about a woman who tried to talk her son through bullying, and she held up a piece of paper, and I'm going to do the same because it was just so profound, and thanks to the creator that did that. I can't remember who she was, but she held up a piece of paper, and she looked at her son and she said, okay, talk to this piece of paper. And the son said things like, oh, you're fat, so you're fat, you're ugly, you're weak, you're a horrible person, you I don't like you, right? And then she opened it and she said, okay, now tell the paper that you are sorry. And he said, sorry. So she opened the paper and she said, right, now let's this paper back to normal. And that is profound, because when someone is hurt, the pain doesn't just go away when there's a sorry given or when there's apology or a forgiveness. No, the pain will be the pain. Nobody's removing the pain. And even if you forgive yourself, the pain will always be there. But the forgiveness releases you from all the other feelings that you are feeling. So, firstly, forgive yourself. True justice is paying once for each mistake. True injustice is paying more than once. And that is so important, because if you are paying for your mistakes, then you're paying for your mistakes. Why do you continue judging yourself? Why do you continue kind of just breaking yourself down and not forgiving yourself? Many times in our lives we make mistakes and we have to forgive ourselves for those mistakes. Most people have more resentment towards themselves than to anyone else. I had multiple arguments with my ex-husband while I was in that relationship, and he used to judge me a lot, and I used to tell him, you know what, you're judging me for that thing that I did. I have done it 10 times over, and it was so true, so true, because I really struggled to forgive myself for things that I did. So there are two things that our minds unconsciously do when we feel guilty. And the first thing, and please listen to this, because guilt is an extremely strong, disabling feeling. Guilt and shame will keep you captive forever until you let it go. And it literally keeps you captive. So there are two things that our minds unconsciously do when we feel guilty. The first one is to try to repay or make that mistake right. And especially if you're an empath, you're going to do it extremely excessively, but it does do it excessively. If we feel that there's nothing wrong we can do to make something right, the second option we choose, also unconsciously, is to punish ourselves. How often have you done that? How often have you done something really stupid? And I mean, are you aware of the chatter that's going on in your mind? Are you aware of the judgment? Are you aware of the way you speak to yourself afterwards? Take a moment on any actions that you've had towards yourself or to other people in the past that you may regret. Are there any mistakes that you made that you continue to beat yourself up for? And what are those things that you did? How are you punishing yourself? The thing is, feeling guilty is not going to do or undo what has happened. And even more importantly, holding on to that pain is causing further pain in your life. It is okay to let it go. Release yourself from the burden that you are carrying. Really do. And I've got to say this. If you are harboring guilt, and I can speak from a divorced mother, single mother for a long time, of 2 kids, that guilt that I carried with, that guilt changes your behavior in a big way. Try and reflect on how you were before you felt the guilt, before that event happened. Just reflect on certain things that you acted on and how you behaved and compare it to the way that you act after the guilt stepped in. That alone will indicate to you and will show you how detrimental guilt is. It's not doing anybody any favors, and if you harbor any guilt towards anybody, any event, anything, you have to do the work to let it go. Have to. So repeat after me. I forgive myself, and I release myself for Before I close off, and I am going to close off soon, let's just quickly talk about apologies. I want to share this with you. When I went through my divorce, it was an ugly divorce. There was a lot of damage done on both sides. I did the 6-phase meditation with Vishen Lakiani. I can never remember his surname. If you are interested in doing this meditation, I will share it with you. It's free. But I did it very often. I only found meditation back then, and it was very, very powerful. And part of this meditation that really helped me was, one of the 6 phases was forgiveness. And one of the suggestions in the meditation is not to ask for forgiveness from the other party. It's just what you do is and asking forgiveness is a very personal thing, and it is really, really important to check in with your gut. Removing all the noise and the emotions and everything, and just really truly check in with your gut before you apologize either to yourself or to someone else. Just check in with your gut. What I realized back then is I didn't need an apology, or I didn't need to apologize. I didn't need apology from him. That apology, forgiveness, was really for me You know, if you kind of, very often, if we apologize to someone, we want something in return, don't we? So it becomes all about us. So if you feel that an apology is necessary, it's something that you want to do out of the kindness of your heart, and you realize, because again, during this meditation, what was really important was for me to focus on why I got hurt by him. But he hurt people, right? So the moment I realized that, and I found a way to understand where it came from with compassion, the whole thing changed for me. It didn't mean it's okay for hurt people to go around hurting people. That is not okay. We can't approve of that. But if we have a little bit more understanding and compassion for where people come from, that can change everything for you. So if you have, if you feel like it, just express an apology through a letter, an email, a phone call, in person. But it's got to be about the apology. It cannot be about you wanting anything back. So reflecting on the situation, like acknowledging the pain that the lack of forgiveness on your part has caused you, and how it currently impacts your life, is powerful. Is it more painful than the actual experience? Very often, very, very often, we go through a painful experience, we perceive it as painful, but when you really, really think about it, and you put your adult clothes on and you get out of your child mode, then you realize that, maybe I overreacted. Maybe it wasn't as painful, and maybe this excruciating pain that I felt at that moment in time, because nobody can take away from how you felt, right? That was your true feeling. Nobody denies that incident was extremely painful for you. Got to acknowledge that. Cannot ignore it, because that would be like putting a plaster on and saying, you're okay, move on. Okay? So got to acknowledge the extent of the pain, but once you have reflected on it, we often realize that maybe it wasn't as bad as I perceived it, and our perception of the actual incident is made worse by all the limiting beliefs and the self-worth and the underlying real issues that we have to deal with. So reflect on these events and try and figure out, where is it coming from? Why did I feel it to that extent? Because when you actually look at it, you've got an opportunity, and that's the beauty of this. It allows you and it gives you an opportunity to. It just gives you an opportunity to work on it, to grow from it, to learn from it, and it's an opportunity to work on things that is there and is going to affect you for the rest of your life. So thank whatever this event is. Thank you for being there. Thank you for bringing this forward, and thank you for showing me that there is something there. And that brings me to gratitude. So what let me just make sure that I have not missed anything, because I now feel like I have gone a little bit on a tangent. But it is just so important. I mean, forgiveness is, it's our personal power. Just live and be free. Just go and release yourself. It is a way of revenge. Not going to deny, if you go and you live freely, that is a nice way of showing people, actually, you know what, I've got this, I'm okay. But that cannot be your goal, right? So talking about gratitude, showing gratitude every single day of your life, living in gratitude, being grateful for the birds and the bees and nature and whatever it is that you've got in life. It's a profound way of living. It is an amazing way to care for yourself and set your tone for the day before the start of your day. So what I did is I created a gratitude journal, which you would have received by now in your inbox. So if you are on TikTok and you're listening to this and you haven't subscribed to the 5-day self-love challenge, then please just reach out to me, and I can connect you, and you will be able to receive the gratitude journal. And noise coming in from the back, so maybe this is the time to go. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you. What are your takeaways from today? What are the things that you feel that you are now ready to let go of, to accept, to forgive yourself for? And I really do look forward to hearing more from you on how the gratitude journal will work for you if you've downloaded it, and if you see that it is something that can work in your life. Journaling is a very powerful way of caring for yourself. It is most certainly something that I would include in a self-care plan, is journaling. And tomorrow I'll talk a little bit more about why journal, if it is not something that you do yet. But I'm going to leave it at that. I have now said so much, and just let us know, comment if you're watching this on replay, and I would love to hear from you. And I thank you for being here. I thank you for loving yourself enough to take this time to spend with us. And I look forward to tomorrow, where we are going to be talking about self-care and your self-care journey. So have a lovely day further, evening, wherever you are, and I will see you tomorrow.